Compare 7/4 with 1 before multiplying by 12.
Along the banks of this stream, the landscape is more than just a place to swim. It is a place to see how numbers behave in the real world. Most of the time, we assume that multiplying two numbers together will always result in a larger amount. But multiplication can also be a tool for scaling, allowing us to stretch or compress physical lengths based on the numbers we choose. By simply comparing a scaling factor to the number 1, we can accurately predict if a dimension will shrink or grow before we even start the math. On this patch of level sand, we have an original baseline length of 18. Next to it, a second length is labeled 4/5 times 18, and it stops well before the original mark. The fraction 4/5 is a value that sits between 0 and 1. When we multiply a positive quantity by a fraction less than 1, we are only taking a part of that original length. Because 4/5 is smaller than 1, the new length is guaranteed to be less than 18. Further down the log, the baseline is 12. The second length is labeled 7/4 times 12, extending visibly past the original 12 mark. 7/4 is a top-heavy fraction, meaning its value is greater than 1. Multiplying by a factor greater than 1 gives us the full original amount plus an extra part. Since 7/4 is larger than 1, the resulting product must be greater than 12, even without finding the exact answer. We can see this exact mathematical scaling effect in the physical world using the green reed's sedge is moving into place. Here, the second reed is labeled 1/2 times the original. It ends exactly halfway along the first reed. Since 1/2 is between 0 and 1, the math tells us the new length should be smaller. The physical evidence matches the rule. The factor of 1/2 scaled the original length down. At the end of the dock, we have a baseline of 9 and a comparison length of 9 times 1 1/3. The multiplier here is a mixed number. Because it contains a whole number and a fraction, its value is greater than 1. We apply the same stretching rule here that we used for fractions. The product is greater than 9 because the scaling factor, 1 1/3, is greater than 1. Looking at all our measurements together, a clear pattern emerges from the environment. For any positive quantity, a factor greater than 1 will always result in a larger product. A factor between 0 and 1 will always result in a smaller product. This shortcut allows us to predict the size of a product just by looking at the factors, skipping the need for long calculation.
Because 7/4 is greater than 1, the product is 21.